So the Jade vertical's kind of been working its way into the meta right now, especially with this last patch that kind of nerfed a lot of the meta comps, but didn't really touch Jade at all. Literally 0%, so I think it became even a little bit stronger. And it's a pretty consistent top 4. I think it averages like 3.8 if you get it completely online. There's 2 versions of this comp that we're going to go over today. Okay, so we have a 9 Jade vertical and a 6 Jade vertical that kind of like delves into some other stuff. And the main idea between these two is that you're going to get your Neeko as your main frontline unit, and then you're going to dual carry between Shioyu and Anivia. And which one you play kind of depends on which carry you want to go for. The 9 Jade, I think, is better for Shioyu if you get a lot of AD items, because you get a little bit more attack speed from 9 Jade, as well as Soraka will help just heal Shioyu a little bit more, so that when he's solo carrying after Neeko dies, or she, that you'll be able to get Shioyu to stay a little bit longer, especially against like your core keys. This is really good. And then 6 Jade is a little bit better for Anivia because you get in Bard, which gives you an extra 2 mana every auto. Plus you add in Lulu, which gives you Evoker, which is just a little bit more consistent at letting her cast off. So if you get more AP items, such as Archangels, Morellos, and Shojin, maybe you lean a little bit more towards Anivia. And then you also can throw in like Bard for 3 Mystic and then Yasuo. And you'll just kind of like, this is kind of going to be your setup. So these are our 2 main comp variations. They kind of like do the same opening pretty consistently, and we're just going to go over that real quick. But this is kind of like how I like to play. I've been playing a lot of Jade recently. Now you're able to go for this starting from level 4. It's pretty forcible and pretty consistent. You're going to go Leona, Taric frontline, and then Karma Ashe backline with Jade. You have 2 options. One is you can push to level 5 and put in Ezreal. Say you get an Ezreal 2 and you kind of like 1-star each of these. Then you can start putting Anivia items on Ezreal, and it's not too big of a deal. Maybe like no, Morellos isn't probably too great, but maybe if you start with Shojin, and then I always have trouble finding these Archangels. I do think it's pretty good to prioritize tank items in this build. Warmogs is a really great first item, especially because these 2 units give you just a lot of natural stats. Taric increases resistance of both of them, and Leona increases her own resistance, as well as Sunfire. So these are your best 4 items to start off with, especially because there's no real AD carry in the early game. Also important to note is Braum is an interesting carry. If it's Leona 1 versus Braum 1, Braum 1's better. If it's Leona 2 versus Braum 1, then Leona 2's better. If it's Braum 2 versus Leona 2, you go Braum 2 every day, baby. So maybe you carry Leona for a little bit, and then you swap these items to a Braum if you carry them, and on your bench, and then this is kind of like your stage 5 board. And then at level 6, you kind of can just throw in a Lee Sin. And this is going to get you your stage 6 board. It throws in Tempest as well as Dragonmancer. You can make Lee Sin the Dragonmancer, and he's going to do a lot of good work for you. As well as he can actually be a really great holder of some items for our Shioyu. He really holds Titans well. He really holds Bloodthirsters well. And so this is really kind of a good setup. Actually, you might even want to do this, because then Lee Sin will be able to cast a bit more. He also can even hold our last Shioyu item really well as well, which is Edge of Night. Oh, I lost my Braum. Yeah, Lee Sin's a really great holder of these items just because he is pretty tanky already, but then he attacks the entire board, so this Titans is really good for him. As well as Bloodthirsters, he can heal from all of that damage. So Lee Sin's a really good carry for it, and it just synergizes well with Ezreal. And then you're going to go level 7, which is you're going to try and find your Neeko, and Neeko's our main tank. You don't throw a Neeko until you have Gnar. This is very important. Most of Neeko's utility comes from Shapeshifter and being able to double her health really easily, and then copying the stats of the next person over, so Lee Sin. And this is kind of going to how your main positioning is going to go. This is level 7. You're going to find your Anivia. You're going to start working your Anivia items onto Anivia. Ideally, it's Shojin, Morellos, and then Archangels, though you can kind of do any mix of this. Shojin's really important. Shojin's pretty important regardless of whichever variation you're going. Taric's also the least important Jade unit. You can either just like throw this away for literally anything, but mostly Soraka is mostly just here for early game. Now, stage 7, you see that we just don't have Shioyu yet. I think we want to stabilize at level 7. Normally try and get maybe a Neeko 2. Neeko's pretty contested right now with a lot of Shapeshifter comps. So trying to find Neeko 2 here, as well as holding maybe some Shioyus on our bench. And then when we go level 8, we can throw Shioyu here. Now, if you really wanted to run, say, like your Mystics type comp, maybe you kind of take out these other Dragonmancer units and Lee Sin, and you throw in your Shioyu early. This is an option. You take out Taric and you throw in your Lulu. And this is mostly going to be the setup for your comp. Shioyu can be a frontline unit. The only difference is if you do not have Knight's Edge, it has to be in the back. You do not want Shioyu getting targeted. But if you throw in Knight's Edge, it's actually really good, or Edge of Night. It's really good because it will help you instantly get your stacks on Titan's Resolve, and then it loses aggros. So she's going to be able to do a whole bunch of damage while she's not getting targeted, and everyone's going to target this Neeko. It is important kind of not to position like this, because when everyone de-aggros off of your Shioyu, they're going to attack this Jade statue, which is going to die pretty quickly, and then everyone's going to attack your Shioyu again. You really kind of want your Neeko in front, and then honestly you can fit whatever else you want in here for utility. I really like this kind of a build, a Yasuo and Soraka. Soraka's really great healing for Shioyu. I think that this is very valuable, and I think a lot of people put Bard here. I disagree. I think Bard, Mystic, it can be good if you're going against maybe an Ao Shen, but it's honestly kind of up to you, whatever you kind of like. But I really like Soraka. I think she's really valuable with her healing, as well as healing your little legend. I think that's just really good. Now, she can be kind of hard to find at level 7, so maybe before you put her in, you put in, maybe you do like an Ornn for just some CC. You can also do another evoker, Sona. Sona, I think, is actually a really great substitute because it'll just cast over your entire board. And yeah, this is kind of if you're going the Mystic variant. Yasuo really likes blue buff on him. Last Whispers is also really good because it will get rid of a lot of armor resist, so your Shioyu can do a little bit more damage. As well as Yasuo with blue buff just does a lot of CC, as well as QSS. This is best in slot. You're kind of going to go focus on different things, obviously, between these different comps. Here, Anivia is the most important. Maybe you just stabilize at 8 and try and roll and find your Anivia 3. Though Anivia 3 is kind of hard to find, especially if there's legend players in your especially if there's legend players or if you're contested, but you really only need Anivia 2, which is why Shioyu is also a great dual carry. Now, if you are going the 9 Jade comp, it's kind of important that you don't do this clumping thing. Everyone does the clumping thing, and then they get one shot by anything with any level of AoE damage. This is bad, because you get maybe one really good Revel player and their Sona cast and kills your entire team. It's gone. Also, it's really bad because if anyone is playing like a really powerful Deja, instantly everyone's dead in one cast or 2 casts. So what I really like to do is I kind of move more towards the middle, especially because a lot of your Sonas are going to cast towards the farthest enemy, so a little bit out of the ways you kind of want to stay. Maybe keep your Anivia like right here in the center. This is also keeps them protected from assassins, as well as everyone still targets like the main tank, which is probably going to be an Idas, let's be real. And then you kind of just like change which side your Shioyu is going to be on based off of trying to avoid the enemy's main carry. So if they've got a Xayah top right, you're going to put Shioyu over here on the left, and then this Jade statue here, just so that she's not getting targeted by any levels of splash damage, or at least as little as possible. This comes from like Corki and whatnot too, and you kind of just do this. Now, this is only really helpful if you have Stone Plate on Neeko. If you do not have Stone Plate, then you can kind of do something more like this. It's the same idea where this Knight's Edge can kind of help Shioyu get these stacks a little bit faster, as well as they're going to de-aggro you anyways, but you'll probably actually want this. I lied. So this will probably be the best version of kind of positioning, in my opinion. You also can put Karma up here instead. Again, I think that Karma gives more value than Taric, and so Soraka is just really good for value. Now, a couple of questions that can come up is, what do you do if you get, say, like a Frozen Heart natural? I think it really goes great on Gnar. Gnar jumps past the front line and goes kind of into the back, but also it takes a little bit of time. So if they have something like a QSS, Gnar might live, or probably will live, before the 15 seconds are up, or he can do a really good job, especially if you have Soraka to heal him up. So he can jump across and do really good QSS, and can do really good Frozen Heart value. Other good things that you can work in is if you get like Ornn artifacts, I think that Frozen Winter is a great item on Neeko. It's only in substitute of Sunfire, as well as the other great option that you can give. Anima Visage is really good as well, though I only think in lieu of Sunfires or Warmogs. You really want Stone Plate. Stone Plate's very important for Neeko, but she also wants health, so you want either Warmogs or Sunfire because it will 1.5 based off of when she transforms, which is instantly. Spatulas are not very useful at all in this comp, though if you do have to have an emblem, I think that Evoker is really good. You can put that on Soraka, though if you can't find an Evoker, Jade is also really good. Is this the Jade emblem? Yeah. Jade is also really good, and then you can take out something like Karma, and you can throw in Lulu and still keep your 9 Jade. You just really want her close to Anivia and Soraka so they cast a little bit faster, as well as if any assassins find their way in, they're getting hit by this Lulu, and they're going to turn into little, like, doll things. Now, this comp can be played high tempo or low tempo. If you don't know what that means, it typically just means if you're playing, like, aggressive leveling or if you're playing slow leveling. If you find a bunch of 2-stars early, you can, like, really push levels fast, and then try and find these at level 7 or at level 8. But you also can play it slow, lose streak throughout your entire stage 2, gain a lot of econ, and then try and find everything at level 7 and level 8. Either or is really fine, and the more you get used to the comp, the more you're going to find yourself getting close to a lot of consistent top 4s. Its top 1 rate is probably about 12 to 15% in my opinion, but it will give you consistent top 4s. You will gain LP with this, and it's just a really good comp. Now, as always, the video with actual gameplay will be coming out later this week. I will post it right here once it's done. And until then, I suggest that you subscribe maybe so that you'll be able to find out as soon as it is live. And I would really appreciate it. We're getting really close to 1,000 subscribers. That would mean the world to me. It's right here. Click the button. Anyways, I hope you guys have yourselves a great day, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.